And so for you guys that are just now making your way into the channel, I feel like it's somewhat of a somewhat of a culmination this week of what I felt like was a somewhat of a change in momentum with Hyliion Holdings. It's been a company that I've covered now for the last couple of years, and unfortunately we've got some real terrible news this week. And I thought it would be best during these times that are usually very difficult, when we lose someone, to bring everybody together and talk about what happened, talk about what we can do to heal as a group. I take full responsibility for speaking out on this topic. I know for a lot of the highly in our air community across the globe, it was a movement of epic proportions. It was a movement in the right direction. It was a movement that inspired people to imagine a better Class 8 trucking space. And I think all the way up until this week, it was unfortunate. I mean, we delivered a tree to the New York Stock Exchange, and it was a beautiful tree. It really was. 13 tons, from what I understand. It was an absolutely beautiful tree. And Thomas Healy, the founder and CEO of Hyliion, and my condolences go out to Thomas and the entire family, as well as the extended Hyliion community and all the employees there at Hyliion, having been succumbed to this urgent news. And this never ever comes at an opportune time when we hear news like this. But it was the last wish of the last question from Dooner on what Thomas Healy actually wanted this year for Christmas. And what the man said was that he wanted the stock price to actually start to appreciate in value and provide a little bit of hope for the shareholders who, up to this point, have had nothing but hope. Unfortunately, the news that came out this week was just too overwhelming for a small company like Hyliion to even think for a second that they could stand up against the utter dominance of what would inevitably happen. The momentum was just too strong. They were playing in way too big of a field, and to actually think that they could actually compete step by step, it was almost like David and Goliath. It really was. And unfortunately, these things in the stock market, they do come. They are rare, but it teaches investors to actually look at the potential for each and every company we evaluate and identify best in breed. And it's been right under our nose this entire time to understand, what it is that Elon Musk has been telling us this entire time, what it is that he's been promising this entire time, and this week was really just that Mike Tyson 1-2 punch, and it was the fatal blow, really, that just kind of it dismissed everything that Hyliion boasts in way of what it brings to the table for a Class 8 space. And was it wishful thinking upon us to believe that somehow this small company could make it domiciled here in the United States? I mean, you got to push that stuff over to China. It's the only way that you can make it, is to make cheap material and then come back and sell it to us arrogant Americans for 4 times the price. But really too bad. And I saw the emergence and I sat back and I was like, oh my goodness, I tell you what. I sat back and I watched the delivery. I saw the comments on Facebook when none other than Elon Musk unmasked the Tesla semi truck. And my heart stopped for a moment. It stopped, and I thought, okay, here we go. That's it. Competition is here. We're done. And I've had a lot of time to review the unveiling of the Tesla semi truck. It is a fantastic looking truck. And if you go on and you identify with some of the comments on some of the people who have actually reviewed this truck, it is absolutely spectacular. I mean, I really got to hand it to Tesla. I mean, honestly, they killed off Hyliion with a couple of very specific statistics here, and null and void of a lot of things that I thought were important in the Class 8 space. And this is just really what I want to apologize to my grander community on. See, I thought torque and horsepower and driver experience and the ability to, I don't know, go up a hill was somewhat important. By the grace of God, my friends, I was dead wrong. Okay, these are not things that are important to the Class 8 trucking space. The things that are important to the Class 8 space, and it is apparent to me now, and I really want to apologize for my naive perspective on this, is how the truck looks. The truck has to look perfectly. Okay, the truck has to glimmer with that perfect paint job. Okay, assuming that it has to look good in the over-the-road transport. Now, if it gets off the road and gets a little bit dirty, that image is just not going to look right. It's just not going to look right. Is it, Clark? Okay. Second of all, and this was the real dagger for me, and this is where I really started to plan the services, because even though I knew Hyliion would put up a fighting chance in this, I knew that they could not compete on any level with the Tesla 500 miles. And it just pains me to say it. I mean, I throw it out there. And it is indeed the 500 miles. There was one release out of Australia that I kicked out, and I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on here? This truck can go 700 kilometers. And I was like, whoa, 700 kilometers, it hit me. And I was like, this is incredible. We're done for. Okay. Now I've had all week to digest the information and come to terms with the loss here, like a brother. I've spent many, many minutes on this project, and I believe that I've discussed this project with many, many of people who believe and saw the same thing that I did on Hyliion and put specific value on certain things that I'm honestly ready to just take a vacation from stock market investing, because of all the people that got out of the Hyliion cab, friends of mine, Jason, J Mac Investing. I mean, I know the guy, I've never met him in person, but he actually got out of the cab after driving the vehicle. It drove the vehicle. And I don't think that was like a David Copperfield thing. I think the man actually was sitting in the chair and actually driving the vehicle around the parking lot. Okay. And the smile and the vindication and the validation that has come from drivers just like Jason, who took his time to go down there and report to the grander Hyliion community that this experience was very, very real. It was very, very real. And it's really just unfortunate that most of that driver satisfaction from that perspective, it's not important. It's just not important. I've said many, many times on this opportunity that I am not a truck driver. Okay. I have deferred to many of our Hyliion community that actually know the trucking industry. Some are truck drivers. And that's just the way I roll. I don't presume to be an expert in something that I'm not an expert in. And there's a lot of people out there that that play that they are an expert. But I tell you what, we got this one wrong. And I say all the time how the stock market can dole out humble pie. It's doling it out right now. Because in my heart of hearts and my study of Hyliion and what it brings to the table with its range, it just died right there for me. It just died right there, because I knew that the Hypertruck ERX, I knew that there was no way that we could compete with 500 miles of range. I just knew that there was no way we could do it. And I got a little emotional. I really thought Hyliion had something to bear with their 1,000 miles of range, but evidently that's not the case, my friends. That is not the case because Tesla has one thing that Hyliion does not have. Okay. And irrespective of the range, I want you guys to remember this. Tesla flies the flag of Tesla. Okay. Hyliion is an unknown. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. See, I'm here to tell you what I just realized this week, and that is 500 miles of range is actually what we should be focused on. 500 miles of range is actually better than 1,000 miles of range that the Hypertruck ERX, God rest his soul. And I'd just like to bear thee farewell. It's been awesome to cover all of the investor presentations, all of the ability to try to bring people together around what I thought were attributes of a company that actually mattered. Integrity. If you go on to Hyliion's website, and I don't know how much longer they're going to keep it up, okay, with this news this week of complete and utter dominance by Tesla rolling in to the Class 8 space in a manner that is and could be labeled a hostile takeover of the industry. And Schneider, Ruan, Wegmans, the Innovation Council, some of the big players in the transportation space, they're done. They're done. Pepsi has just validated that for everybody in the fleet. Stand by for rolls. It's coming. Okay. If you thought you had a premonition about what direction you wanted to go in the EV direction in the Class 8 space, you can rest assured put that aside. None of that's important. All right, because Tesla's got it all figured out for you. Tesla's got it figured out for you. No more worrying. No more staying up at night waiting for mandates that are going to be coming through. Tesla's got you covered. Okay. Tesla's got you covered. And although we are nil of any testimonials from any of the drivers out there in the Tesla community that have actually talked about the driver experience or actually offered any type of testimonial here or actually talked about what it is in way of the consumer load over the electric load when this vehicle is actually driving along its path, chewing up this 500 miles of range. Interesting. It's interesting. I always think about the the MSRP sticker when you go and you actually buy a vehicle and it tells you the range. I was excited to buy my Honda Accord Sport for my wife 10 years ago. And it boasted 36 miles to the gallon. And I was like, damn, 36 miles to the gallon. This is pretty badass. I can kick some ass in that car. And it's a wonderful car. We've had it for 10 years, taken a lot of long trips with it. But I've never to ever get close to 36 miles per gallon. Right? And I'm not sure if I would feel somewhat slighted if I bought a Tesla. I'm not a Tesla fan, okay? And perhaps maybe that jaded my perspective on this Tesla emergence this week. I mean, this was 5 years in the making, but in one fell swoop, they've just come and they've taken over the Class 8 industry in 1 week. Because, and for you guys that doubt Elon Musk and his capability, all right, he'll buy Twitter 1 week and he'll take over the Class 8 space another. Okay, so it is in Elon we trust. All right, and what Elon says is what Elon means, and you should fall suit. All right. Electric energy as it pertains to the Class 8 space is about 21 cents a mile. 21 cents a mile. So Tesla can boast an enormous savings, an enormous savings. You guys ever seen Ferris Bueller when they ride back the Ferrari California, right? They ride it back, right? No rigor, no nothing, not over the road, all right? They're not jumping it, going on the joyride. What I think sometimes gets missed is that in a perfect world, if the Tesla were put up on a grid and the axle was allowed to turn electronically, I think then you could probably sit there and boast that you get 21 cents a mile or 23 cents, whatever it was. But when I read that statistic, I thought, well, I mean, we're done. We're done. Not only do we run an archaic fuel in the Hypertruck ERX, in the fossil fuels, we are done because we cannot compete with that 21 cents. That's incredible. I mean, strap 80,000, strap 100,000 pounds onto that Tesla truck, have it with its gleaming bulbous front on it, cruise, and by next year we should have 100% penetration in the Class 8 space. Why? Because Elon Musk says that it should be so, and therefore it should be so. Yeah. Got a robust crew in here, man. Sunday feeling fantastic this evening. My condolences go out to the greater Hyliion community. I will actually drop some visitor opportunity in here. I'm going to drop it into the thread now. And I'm going to start to get to some comments here because my best coping mechanism is to actually speak with people who are supportive. I know there's probably going to be a ton of people in here that love to see my pain. There it is. It's in the bottom. You guys want to download the StreamYard software. It's very, very simple. You can come in here and you can kick around with me. But just when I thought we were finding a little bit of momentum, whiskey, I might take a little break and actually go get one. But I want to make sure that I'm done with the eulogy first, because it's been a while since I've been with the funeral and never, I haven't done one for a while, and I've never actually ran a funeral as an ordained reverend, leading the Hyliion Rackus for the last couple years, trying to bring attention to what I thought was actually important in stock market investing. You know, what's interesting to me is I'm watching companies that are just shitty companies and they're going up. It's like the most irrational market going on right now. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. And I think, you know, without anything fundamental with Tesla, look at the charts right now. Tesla's going to 215. There's just no doubt about it. Tesla's going to 215. The technicians are all over this. It's just, that's what's going to happen. And irrespective of what the company's doing, coming out with just an absolutely badass truck. I mean, did you see the look of this thing? If you really want to understand what in the hell I'm talking about, go to Facebook or Meta or whatever the F you guys call it nowadays. I could just give two shits less, but go over to Facebook and find the initial rollout. I wish I had it. If you guys can find it and drop it in the thread here for this group, there's about 77 patrons in the live tonight. Drop it in there because it's funny. And the truck, you'll either like it or not. It's an aesthetic thing, right? Which, me personally, I look at Class 8 truck as being a tool. It's a tool. It's an asset for a company, right, to be put out there and be utilized. Okay. Tesla's got all the answers. All right. They've been in Class 8 trucking for all of what, a couple of months. It's just like anything. It's just like the private car market, right? As long as they can dupe people in understanding and just tell people whatever they want, the vehicle can get. See, that's the thing. They can say whatever they want. They can say 500 when in all actuality it's 320. And in all actuality, you're never, ever going to run it below 20%. And you shouldn't run it above 80, right? So you don't have a 0 to 100% nominal range. You actually have 20 to 60. Interesting. So you can't run it down to 20. Otherwise it degrades from the battery and or takes away from efficiency and or runs at a higher consumption rate, especially if, I don't know, a road does something funny and just doesn't go down all the time. It actually goes up some of the time. And the demand over that consumption of energy on that truck is going to deliver that top end 500 range. I read these articles and I'm like, who are these idiots who are reading these articles and not seeing it from the lens that I saw? And I read through that Facebook post. I was hard pressed to go through that post and find a positive comment about the truck. I don't care. if Tesla comes and they penetrate the Class 8 market, I'm all about it. But like Dooner said, why aren't they going after the short to medium term hauling, right? If the battery technology improves over time to think that they can be a player in the Class 8 space, so be it. But there has been real no differentiation, and perhaps maybe you guys know about what market they're actually going after. From what I understand, this is a Class 8 semi truck at 500 miles of range, okay? But the look of this thing is incredible. Go through the comments. You'll be hard pressed to find a positive comment in the comments, and there were thousands. There were thousands. I give you one opinion tonight. That's from the little independent investor channel that could. I'm a freaking nobody sitting in the middle of the 500, thousand people here on Staten Island in New York. Okay, I'm a nobody voice, and it's just one voice. Go on there and read through. Just scan through the thousands of comments, and every single comment was just bashing the shit out of the post. I mean, bashing the shit out of it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's everything that I thought. Are looks important? I don't know. I've joked through my weekly Hyliion videos talking about truck drivers and their reluctance to even get behind the wheel of this thing, right? Now, Dooner does a really, really good job of being fairly neutral. Me, I'm scathing. I don't give a shit. Okay. I just don't care. But if there are truck drivers out there to say, Ryan, you got this sucker wrong, you're wrong. I would drive that thing. As a matter of fact, I'd trade in my diesel tomorrow for this thing. Let me behind the wheel of it. I'm in. I'm down. I'm at it. Right. Then I would eat crow. Right. I'd understand. And I'm not saying that I think the aesthetics are going to be such a turnoff that it's not going to find its place maybe in over the road trucking, but the comments certainly spoke differently to it. The comments were a lot of truckers who were like, man alive, you couldn't pay me to drive that thing. Tons of multiple comments just like that, that were saying the consumption just does not add up. There's no way that I would hamstring my ability to make over the road, long haul transits and be coupled to a grid in this capacity. There's no way. What are the weights of the batteries? I don't know. There's probably going to be some Tesla bulls, hopefully, that make their way in tonight. They can come in and they can slap me around, just like Hyliion was slapped around and then boom, delivered that knockout punch this week. Because the best I can tell is that everybody has picked a winner. We've been waiting for 5 years to pick this winner. And this was the week. This was the week where we were delivered that 1-2 sucker punch, boom, boom, and it's out, boom, lights out, done. Seriously, like Apollo's laying down, Ivan Draga has just come and just delivered the death blow. Okay, Tesla, death from above. Okay. There's a pretty robust group in here, man. I'm going to cruise down and start to highlight some of these comments. Dave, thanks for the journey over the last couple of years. It's been tough. It's been really tough, only capped off by this eventual competition. And I tell you what, until we can start to get people to understand that 500 miles is better than 1,000. We've got a real uphill battle, no pun intended. The look of the Tesla was horrific. Oh, I don't know, Dave. I think you're being a little hard over there. I don't know. I kind of liked it. I thought it was cute. But again, I'll defer to the people who actually drive the vehicle, right? It's like changes in our organization. Sometimes we shake our head and we're like, who the hell thought of this? Did they even ask the crew before they even did this? And that's the thing is Hyliion doing their due diligence and trying to ask who the heck they're trying to put behind the wheel of their vehicles to get enough substantiation to know that they're going to actually, I don't enjoy driving it. I don't know. That's for y'all to answer. It's a lewd point at this point because Hyliion's dead and truckers are going to have to really warm up to this idea of Tesla being the dominant truck in the industry as early next year. Something is very wrong with that interior and front end. Yeah, but they were comparing the two. Okay, I saw a comparison on Twitter where they were talking about the aerodynamics and Tesla. I have no doubt that the aerodynamics of it were were built to make sure that the airflow could go over the vehicle in the most economical of ways. And that old Peterbilt, right, that's jamming into the wind straight on 90 degrees was less efficient, right? Got Excalibur in the house. I bring him on. Excalibur, you got me okay? You got me okay? You might be muted. It might be me. I don't know, but I just brought you on, man. You got me okay? Can you hear me okay? You might be muted. And I can't, it says you're muted. Can you unmute yourself? Right at the bottom to the left, because I really want to talk to you, man. I just tried to unmute you. I'll let him get his thing. All you got to do is go down to the bottom and hit unmute, because it shows me that you're muted. But man, I'd love to talk to you if I can get you to figure it out and get your opinion on all this. That'd be awesome. It's the first time I've ever got to talk to this guy, man. Yeah, just give it a sec, man. I'll tell you what, I'll pull you off of the live stream, man. I'll watch you. Stay in the studio. Don't leave, man. But get your mic unclicked and we'll get you in here, man, and get your opinions, okay? I'll watch you out of the corner of my eye, okay? It's great to see you, Dave. Appreciate it. Isn't what the media smokescreen is putting out. Yeah, but they're putting it out rampant, man. And I tell you what, momentum and sentiment and belief and everything that goes into that, man, it freaking matters. It matters, right? And Hyliion, it doesn't matter what it is that they can do up to this point to build that momentum or keep that momentum or actually create some level of momentum on the stock to suggest maybe that Hyliion, what is a world going to look like if Hyliion can do half of the stuff that they boast in their fundamentals and what they bring to the table? It'll be incredible. Remember, I said this is a post. I have a feeling it will be tremendous strain on failing supply chain. I think you're right. I think you're right. I think the materials that are going into the batteries, for me, I find it intriguing to discuss the cradle to the grave and how they're going to dispose of all of these batteries after they've gone through it. You know, this whole Tesla craze and the effects from it are going to be long-standing, and where some of my initiatives are driving to try to undo some of the poor behaviors of some of the habit forming behaviors, some of our inability to dispose of certain things that us dirty human beings create on this earth. It's unfortunate. And that's what I want to understand. Look, if you're putting this out there, put it out there, but please explain to people how it's going to be better for the earth than worse off. Don't just tell me that electricity is going to be cheaper. Don't tell me that, because I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. And if it's my deficiency, then you got to tell me. Tell me I'm wrong. All right. But I appreciate you coming and leaving a post here. Got Celtic Lightning in the house, man. Good stuff. Really appreciate it. Good stuff. Got a hell of a crowd here, man. Nobody comes into my live stream on Friday, and Sunday is just blowing up like the freaking Yankees game. It's awesome. Wait a minute. I didn't know we were going live today. Let me hear about this. Rest in peace, Hyliion situation. Yeah. I covered everything that I could get my hands on. I could. You know, I'm interested in the Tesla story as it indirectly is involved in the same space as Hyliion. Okay. But I'm hungry, just like I'm hungry for the 𝗋𝐿a folks to give me some sort of substance or credence, at least in line with what Hyliion has provided me. Hyliion's got a lot of work to do. I get that. Hyliion doesn't get any amnesty from me. They have my share loyalty. I own shares in the company, but that doesn't mean I can't be critical over Hyliion and demand more, right? How is Thomas Healy going to expect to actually get that appreciating stock price next year if he doesn't know a few things about the demand over his product? All right, this little bit of gamesmanship with Coca-Cola Classic, I love that stuff. I love it. But here's the thing, if the focus was on the original 200 orders backed by security deposits, then what has happened since then, Thomas, right? You told us since the sales team was so laser focused on that, that's the only thing that they could focus on. Therefore, the rationale for them not putting new orders on the books was justified. Okay. Au contraire, my frere, how long does it take to start to get these initial 10 order books? We've been in a little bit of a dry spell with orders here, and I think it's kind of unfortunate. I think we've got a lot of work to do, and I just demand a little bit more. Nikola Tesla, Hyliion being the three in the space that I cover most intimately, and I read the articles with a different lens. I do. Nikola had a great week this week in the stock price, and there was an article that came out at the end of the week this week that was just absolutely cheerleading for the stock. Yeah, right on. It was incredible to read the article. There was no substance at all. The stock didn't go up for any good reason. Couldn't believe it. Does Hyliion get that same favor? I think not. And it makes me presume, this is my presumption, that something awry is going on under the current. Something awry. Not something bad with Hyliion, but something doesn't smell right with this story. It doesn't. Even the stock action from day to day. I monitor the stock action. I'm a dork. A lot of people like Rick. I see Rick. I'll pop his comment on here pretty quick. But I'm crazy and I love stock market investing. I follow the Hyliion story every single day. If you want to put it on ice for 2 years, fine. You'll probably wake up in 2 years and find that you've done quite well with the investment. That's fine. But I like to really monitor and identify maybe what this 13.5% short interest in the company actually means now. Like, who in the hell is shorting this company right now? With all of the looming things that are going to be going on in 2023, all positive catalysts to the upside. We're talking about CARB, NHTSA certification. We're talking about eventual certification, finalization of winter validation, all of the learnings from the summer validation and proof of concept before we step into the potential. And I do say that it's a soft step in to commercialization back half of 2023. I think it's going to be a relatively soft introduction to mass commercialization because by Thomas Healy's admission, they're going to do a lot of the installs at the actual Austin facility. It's going to be the big money where um, we actually have the ability to integrate the powertrain into the OEM from PACCAR. And Thomas Healy spoke about this. You don't just show up one day and just start being like, yeah, hey, I'm going to push my stuff into your line. Thanks a lot. Just send me a check. Doesn't work that way. It takes time, and it will take time for Hyliion, but they're set up well to make that transition. And I think it'll be very, very cool. Yes, sir. Excalibur left a comment. I couldn't see that he got that mute. I'd love for him to try again, come back in here. It just might have been something with the tech. But what about the leasing companies? They are not going to buy a semi that they can't resell. Who's going to rebuy a semi with a couple of years left? Phenomenal point. I had this discussion with somebody else the other night. It was actually Dave, who I featured in the first comment. I actually think that the modular replacement of the Hyliion unit, okay, now these are batteries. I don't know what the size of the Tesla battery is, okay? Some of you who do can do a comparison. I understand it to be significantly larger because it's not one of those things that has the charger brought with it, okay? It's reliant on the grid to actually charge the battery back up. So you can imagine the size of this battery and what it has to have to actually power the semi down the road and carry a payload that is somewhat comparable. Hyliion, from what I can tell and what I've heard, is going to be a modular changeout. How many modular changeout over the course of the Hyliion Hypertruck ERX is yet to be determined. 2, 3, 6? Hell, I don't know. If it's 2, badass. If it's 6, that might be a little bit of a cost initiative. But to your point, what is it that actually encourages fleets to chop those old diesel units out of their fleet and allow them to go to the smaller companies, the private companies, the mom and pops out there, who I tell you what are the heartbeat of this effing country, the heartbeat. You need me to go in there on a diesel that's got 1 million miles on it? I can keep that thing going for another million miles. There's value there. There's value there. Whereas the large fleets, it's not worth the strategic risk to have that truck laid up on the side of the road for the driver and incur downtime, right? So they chop those after 5, 7 years. I've heard upwards of 9 years. And the truckers in the group, I don't mean to speak out of turn, I don't, but it makes economic sense for them to start looking at what expenses go into the diesel application later on in life, and just to go ahead and chop those units, even though there's good service life in them, to the mom and pops. So I hear you about the leasing companies as well. All right. The leasing companies will take on those older diesel units because they have those support networks. They've got the in-house mechanics. Boom. And diesel engines, man, for you guys, I have run diesel, but it's been on boats, okay, not in trucks. And they run forever. You keep them happy, you keep air, water, oil to them, they're happy. Diesel engines, phenomenal invention. Let's digress. Look at the Hypertruck ERX. If I'm a fleet and I do the upfront cost, okay, take my $40,000 of tax incentive and credit, and put that into this investment, into this Hypertruck ERX Unit 1. Unit 1, incur a modular change out at year 3, let's say. Change the module out, boom, boom, done, good to go. Do the servicing on the generator, good to go. Year 5, do the same servicing, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit more checks, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just drawing an analogy here. What is more attractive for the fleets? Is it now to take that unit that has paid them off, and the longer that they can drive that vehicle, the more the payoff is, as opposed to the diesel counterpart, where the odds of incurring a catastrophic failure in that unit goes up over time, and the Hypertruck is the opposite. The longer you drive the unit, the more attractive it is. I deduced that the fleets are going to be more apt to actually retain these units over time, as opposed to chop them to the mom and pops, which has traditionally created the sub-market of the larger fleets always having those optimal vehicles out there on the road, the driver experience, etc. We don't want to incur downtime. We can't incur downtime, but I think that's a really, really smart comment. I think the Hypertruck ERX, God rest its soul, has much more of an opportunity to be more of a sticky asset, if in fact they can determine by their own data and analytics that the Hypertruck may have the potential to go longer and incur some of those catastrophic failures less often, if at all, because the chassis doesn't go bad, right? The tires were governing down the ERX power to make sure that they're getting optimal life of the tires. Tires get changed, consumables get changed. But is it safe to say that there's less consumables with the Hypertruck ERX? One, a generator to maintain. Is the electronics and the what goes into that electric system, is it so advanced that it introduces soft spots in the system that are points of failure, right? We don't know that until we introduce and get the first iteration of the Hypertruck ERX, or at least it would have been nice to see had it not been for the news heard around the world. Yeah, it was too bad, man. I felt like Clark W. Griswold going in to pick up my Antarctic Blue and ended up with a metallic P this week. So it's too bad. Yep, Antarctic Blue. Yep, Antarctic Blue, metallic P. Yep. Let's get back to the comments here, man. I did see a comment from Rick here. Here it is. Rick, great to see you. Good evening to you and happy holidays to you, my friend. The writing was on the wall of our impending death when Paul went bullish on Hyliion last week. Yeah, well, you need to turn back into him because he's now back on 𝑪𝑎𝑛𝓋𝑎. Remember, 𝑪𝑎𝑛𝓋𝑎 had a pretty good week this week. And I've suggested that anybody who tunes in, look, you tune into social media, okay? I'll be the whipping boy. I'll be the whipping boy. I will. I'll be the whipping boy. And I'll tell any patron that comes into my channel and wants to take advice through YouTube, pull your head out of thy ass, okay? You got to figure this out for yourself, because you got a lot of different motivations online about selling a lot of different agendas. And oh my God, I got to be the biggest YouTube superstar on freaking people's motivation are sick, man. They're nuts. I love this project. I'll continue to do it until I die. Simple as that. Try me. You think I'm joking? Try me. But it seemed like he was back on the 𝑪𝑎𝑐𝐿 bandwagon. Now, when inevitably it kind of looked like 𝑪𝑎𝑐𝐿 was falling off of a cliff, it got so oversold there, went down to about $2.34. Well, it was about time to sell 𝑪𝑎𝑐𝐿, right? But now we've got to get back on the 𝑪𝑎𝑐𝐿 bandwagon here, and talk about that again, because that's where the momentum is, right? That's the flavor of the week. That's the flavor of the week. It's all the basis for any retail investor's stock theory or thesis to just look at the stock itself and make your decisions based on what the stock does. Look at the stock. What's the, it's up to the, I don't buy it. It's down. I don't gotta sell it. It's up and down. It gets there. Gotta watch a little Ryan. Okay, I'm with you, Ryan. It's up again. It's down. It's 5, 6, 7, right? And you end up losing your freaking mind because you haven't figured out that companies and stocks are two damn different things, guys. I'm hoping we're marching toward a better place here at some point in our future. I really do, because I know Rick gets it. Rick gets it. Rick gets it to the point of like utter devotion. Utter devotion. Our devotions differ. Our devotions differ. I don't look at opportunities in the stock market, even though there's predictable patterns in stock, good companies that get driven down arbitrarily over time. It happens over and over and over and over again. But if Hyliion is going to make it, it's because Hyliion pulled themselves out of it. It's not going to be because it played along some predictable pattern of similar companies that got driven down and ultimately made it over time, right? But appreciate seeing you this evening, Rick. And again, happy holidays to you, man. Thanks for everything. And I really appreciate it. I appreciate you coming in and sharing your condolences with me as well. It's tough to see the story die, but evidently we live in an age now where we need to believe that 500 is larger than 1,000. Yep, 500 is bigger than 1,000. And if you say it enough, okay, then you're destined to believe it. So my advice to you is this, okay? Since we've lost our bull, what I need for you to do is I need you to run as fast as you can Monday morning. And I need you to jump like Superman. And I need you to fly midair into the front door of your broker. And I need you to sell Hyliion. I need you to sell it, sell it, sell it. And on your way down to the ground, before you can sell that stock, what I need you to do is I need you to purchase Tesla. Okay? I need you to purchase shares of Tesla, because what Elon says is what is inevitably going to happen. Okay? What he says is inevitably what is going to happen. That is what's going to happen. Great to see you, my friend. Great to see you. Good evening to you, man. Happy summer. Yeah, it's going great. Thanks for taking a couple minutes to come and hang with me. This is.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, come on. It's an open door policy, man. Trying to bring people together, and thank you for all the work that you've been doing, man.
Oh, it's a pleasure and an honor, man. It's good to get my thoughts out there.
It's easy to do, right? It's easy to do because I think these folks they have their ethics and their goals aligned correctly, and they're not afraid to go through the rigor of proof of concept. And on the onset, I was and it's been a long journey, couple years watching this story evolve, right? And a lot of headwinds that have come in the face of Hyliion. Supply chain issues has been big, not to mention a global conflict and a global pandemic. I think has slowed the story down. Whether or not those would have made a difference or not, I don't know. Those are out of Hyliion's control. But here we are looking at 12 months away to a potential to see Hyliion in a different capability, right? To step into this opportunity. But I want you to take a few moments here, Excalibur. This is your first time on the channel. and just kind of give a little bit of brief overview on who you are. I want people who are in here to come subscribe to your channel, because I can't give my opinion and expect that it's going to cover everybody. That's why we need more voices. I've got Andreas and his comments stuck down here.
Yeah.
So people got to understand that there's a lot of different sources of information, and you're one of them. And I've just appreciated your efforts over the last couple of weeks in viewing your channel.
No problem. First of all, I want to say thank you to you, because
No worries.
before I even got on the space, every week I was looking out for the Ryan's videos and some insight into Hyliion. It really helped a lot on the journey, my personal journey. I can speak for myself, and it really helped me. The level of DD that you do, it inspired me to go deeper down that rabbit hole, and what I found I actually liked. So I'm kind of new to the landscape. I've only been making content for like maybe a month now, but I've been in the Hyliion journey since Shell. I like when I originally heard it, I thought it was like an Excel fleet kind of deal, so I was kind of turned off.
Yep.
So nothing against Excel fleet if you're in it, but that's not my cup of tea. Yeah. But so I went deeper down that rabbit hole and started like watching some content. You were out there, Sober Trades, Wall Street Engineer.
Awesome.
Yeah, I started watching. Like, there were a lot of other guys that kind of fell to the wayside, but like you can tell when somebody really has a conviction and skin in the game with the stock in a company. So I was kind of started listening to you guys and started doing some DD, and I started going down that rabbit hole. I'm like, hey, this makes a lot more sense than anything else out there. They're not trying to change the culture. They're not trying to get asset heavy. They're trying to keep it simple so they can survive in a hostile economic environment. There were so many green flags versus red flags that I couldn't not investigate the story. And the more I learn about it, the more thrilled I am about the opportunity.
Do you think that I think Hyliion actually suffers a little bit from coming public via SPAC, and I don't say that to impugn Hyliion at all. I just look at the space in general, and when the hype craze around the SPAC market, it was red hot. I mean, molten hot. I went on and did a lot of due diligence on a lot of SPACs, and on some of them, it took me a few minutes actually to determine that they were frauds. Like, that's me, and I know how to analyze stock. And I think it's somewhat unfortunate that a company like Hyliion, who came public, who knows how long they would have remained in private markets had it not been for the SPAC opportunity. See, I think the SPAC funding fit Hyliion like a glove. I really do, because to be able to, you look at the last 2 years, look at how accelerated this company is. You said you were in it since the SPAC era, and this is a completely different company than the Shell days. And the rate of acceleration, and here staring down these milestones, I think we're going to get a spackling of milestones in 2023. But I think the back half of 23, barring any crazy surprises, is really going to be that sweet spot, right? You think, I mean, this company's easy to hold for me. It's easy to invest in. I look top down. You said that there was a lot more green than red. When I do my due diligence on Hyliion, I'm super excited at the upper management. I'm super excited about the board of directors who will pay dividends down the line. Okay, right now their value really isn't being extracted in the strategic decision making that they've had. Their path is easy. Their path to commercialization, their checklist, and what they're doing right now with summer winter validation, etc. It's pretty easy. But I'm really chomping at the bit to see this company that I think right now is in between maybe first and second gear, really revving it up into six and seeing this thing in high octane. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes, exactly. I always say 2023 is where the rubber meets the road. Like, I try not to get thanks to you, the rose-colored goggles, because it's easy to get, And you gotta like we're investors first, you know, we're educated investors, but it's easy to get the rose-colored goggles. And I like, for me, the 2023 and the seeing them roll out production, like this is like that's the year to where we get to sit back and pop the corn and see what kind of show this turns out to be. You know, yeah, I'm excited because like I have a little in the Hyliion Discord. No guys probably tired of me doing it, but I have like a little countdown calendar, a little countdown clock to
Nice.
Christmas Eve of next year. Because by that, that's when the 200 rollout supposed to be or whatever around that time period. And I post it every now and then. We're under 400 days now, but I post it every now and then because that to me that's the most important part for me to look at as a shareholder. That's when they're rolling out. That's when we get to see. That's when we need more new guidance, in my opinion, because the guidance goes out to about there, you know. And then once we get there, I'm interested to see how the company handles the pressure of the ramp up and how they mature from it. And that's a critical point for me.
I think somewhere in 2023 the stock's going to find some momentum, and I think it's going to find itself between the $7 and $10 range quickly. Do you think that Hyliion will take that opportunity to actually pursue another round of funding into strength, or do you think they'll continue along this roadmap to getting to this commercialization? See, that's where I have some questions. I keep earmarking 2023 and into 2024 as an interesting time, a transition time. But with what we know, I think it might be slower than what we're presuming, unless there is a shift in momentum amongst the fleets, or we pick up another OEM, right? If we pick up like a Freightliner or an International or a Volvo, something like that, to where we're starting the OEM hubs on those OEMs, and then, you know, when the installs shift from the Hyliion plant in Austin to the Pack Air, and actually starts to be installed at the line, that for me is a game changer.
Oh, yeah.
And I really foresee that this opportunity, once this thing gets up into a respectable category, 15, 25 bucks, 15, 25 bucks, respectable category, that for me, my friend, is going to be kind of just the beginning of a potential decade plus old holding. In other words, there's going to be people who come and go out of the stock, and they're going to make money. That's fine. But I think the maximum amount of the money in this is going to be made on the ultra long, and you can only buy the stock at the ground level one time, you know?
Yep. So, I totally agree. I look at it as like, I compare kind of, I have Cummins, I watch certain stocks. I'm not invested in Cummins, but I do watch it. Because I look to Cummins for a potential Hyliion stock price. You know, that's the way I look at it. You know, before all the splits. So like, but I personally think, and I hope that when they do ramp, because they'll need capital. I do hope that they do raise money, as I'm expecting them to, hopefully around the $15 mark, like you said. But you know, like I definitely can see it being $7 or $8 by that time. I mean, especially if the market returns back to former strength.
It's fun to project, full well knowing that both me and you are going to be dead wrong on this thing. We're going to be dead wrong, right?
Hey.
This sucker right now, with the amount of momentum that's being backfilled, has the ability to gap up overnight any one of these weeks. Okay. I've seen it. I've been around this deal a long time. And what is that going to do? That's going to shock a lot of people who just thought that they could just sit on this and say, yeah, no problem. Hell, I'll pick it up at 250. It's all good. I can pick it up at sub 3 anytime I want to, right? And that arrogance right there of not holding the stock could potentially leave those folks in the dust. Gaps up to 6.5. One of these nights, something happens, and you saw the stock movement this week in Nikola for no reason, none.
Yeah. That was,
right?
that
These
was crazy.
shares in Hyliion are, the volume is anemic. We're getting just over about 1 million shares traded per day. That's anemic volume. That's like non-existent volume. So that's why we get the fluctuation that we do. But if we actually start to get some real buying interest in this, you're going to see a gap up in that. And that's going to shift people quickly,
Hmm.
because people don't have the foresight to get in and sit on it like me and Rick and yourself to say, you know what, I'm good. I'm good
Yeah,
with this money, whatever it is, 10, 20,000. Some people have got $500 in this name, and they've got the investing discipline to see it through. And that's going to be what it takes. If you're going to try to go in and out of this name, you're going to be in trouble trying to do that. The best way to make sure that you're in it for the long term is just to own it. It's the easiest, most difficult thing. I say this all the time. It should be very, very easy to just make a decision and say, here's my conviction, stick with it, and then go on doing what it is that you do with your life. You don't need to
yeah,
revolve around this thing every day. I mean, I pay more attention than the average bear, but I enjoy it, you know.
yeah,
And I can honestly say it's been a rough ride in the stock. What does that mean? Rough ride. If you ask me, what does it mean, Ryan? The stock has just gone down. That's all. It doesn't mean anything else. I'm happy on a lot of different other fronts, family, fortune, health, wealth, all the cool stuff. But as
yeah,
far as Hyliion goes, it's just taking a little bit longer on the opportunity. That's all. You know.
yeah. And it goes back to say what I've heard you say multiple times is you gotta know what you own. Um, and I feel like, and that's pretty much where I am. It does it hit you in the gut when it goes from $50 to two? Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
it doesn't feel great, you know. But if you look at the company, and that's what I've done. Is I rolled it up from, I originally got in the Hyliion at like $14. Rolled
Yep.
it all the way up, and I've written it all the way back down. I never sold a share.
Did you
Um,
write it? You wrote it all the way up to the 58 mark? Wow.
I did,
Good
and
Lord.
I bought my biggest block at $30.
30. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and I've been averaging down since I got my dollar cost average down to like $5.25, which is,
Ooh.
it's been hard to do. It's not been
Yeah.
easy.
Anything sub 10, I think you're good.
Yeah.
Anything sub 10, I would consider an entry level point on this stock.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
simple. Everything else in between and day to day, week to week, whatever it is, it's irrelevant. Doesn't mean
Yeah.
squat. No,
Well,
it doesn't. These guys will continue to work along, and I think Thomas Healy is just the guy for it. I really do. I'd like to see this success story play out. I really would. Um, you know, a his vision for his idea. It's novel. I'd be interested to know, how novel it is, and that what takes one of these larger players to be like, well, it's a generator. I'm gonna go ahead and just make my own Hyliion here. But
yeah.
I
I
think
question that as well. Like, what is the protection? I know there's proprietary technology and all that. Um, but I have those same questions too. At
it's
times.
I was explaining another company that I covered. It's imperative that you force yourself to come up with the bull thesis on a company that you're so bullish on, to come up with a bear thesis.
Mhm.
Um, it's important because stock market investing is very lucrative, but it's the reward of a fair and impartial look at a company. I know a lot of people that are really, really hyped up on companies that I wouldn't even touch. I don't even like to look at them. I mean, I feel not right when I look because they're that bad. What if the stock goes up? Well, they're right, and I'm wrong from a stock perspective. As convicted as I was, or not convicted on a specific name, the stock market has an interesting way of humbling you. And it's like I said, it's going to happen at a time when neither you nor me nor anybody in the Hyliion Discord group is going to forecast. I talked to a guy this week. He called me actually. He's starting to get very bullish on Hyliion right now, and he was like, in 2023, my thesis is that we're going to have a flush out in the stock, and it's going to be the last flush out in the stock that's going to drive it down to an arena that neither me and you could even forecast.
Uh-huh.
And that's going to be that point on a flash, boom, that it's going to hit that bottom and start to appreciate value. And I was like, well, I don't know. I'd like to exercise the convenience of saying that I don't agree with you. I don't think that's going to happen. I think if you look at a long-term chart here, I mean, we've been basing at the $3 level for a long, long time. And I think we've established some level of support at these levels. I think the market is satisfied with a current value, with the lack of revenue right now that it's got, valuing the company right now where it is. But I think it's undervalued, and I think they need to start to materialize some of those things that they said they would do. And I believe that they will. I really do. I've got a heart-to-heart belief in this. And the sentiment over the last month, I think, has changed. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Especially as more things have been coming out about 𝑪𝑎𝑛𝓋𝑎. I think more investors are starting to see that the Hyliion solution is making sense. I don't know if you follow nat gas at all, but the sentiment there. I mean, you're starting to see more companies. UPS and FedEx have always used natural gas, but and Amazon too. I live in Central Ohio, so I'm in a prime location. I posted a video or a clip on Twitter a while ago about I live by a UPS depot, and I was pulling out every Tuesday. When I pull out, I see a CNG, a clean energy truck leave UPS, and there's these huge natural gas tanks that UPS uses to have their own yard fuel. I've driven down to the Amazon clean energy facility and saw the CNG trucks. I see them all the time around here. FedEx as well. So I'm actually seeing change, which when I see it when I read articles about the landscape changing, the reality of full BEV is really starting to hit the media outlets. I feel. I think fleets and companies already see it. You know, we've heard multiple times about them how expensive it is for the infrastructure that they have to pay for. Like I was saying earlier today, I was having a conversation with somebody, and I was talking about how if you buy a Tesla semi, you're not just buying a Tesla semi, you're buying a Tesla system because you need that charger, you need that, you need those the utility upgrades if the utility companies want to give you the amount of upgrades you need to run your fleet. We see that PepsiCo only got 4 chargers. I think that wasn't by design. That maybe that's all the utility would allow them to have. So there's certain things. There's a lot of barriers that are hitting fleets, and I think the reality is starting to catch up with the sentiment. Whereas, okay, we're looking at all these BEVs and screaming hydrogen and BEV and all this, but the reality is sinking in that CNG is more of a realistic approach, and I think that finally the media is catching up.
Yeah, but man, this is Pepsi, man. This is not small potatoes, man. They purchased these trucks, man.
They did.
This is real, So it's going an awful long way in this whole like, oh, hey, maybe we just made a mistake. I mean, what am I missing?
I also think like Pepsi, to my understanding, like they haven't. Last I was told, Pepsi got 15, or we're supposed to get 15 trucks, right?
Right.
But when I heard people at the event, they said there were only 4 trucks there. Now, that doesn't mean that Pepsi didn't have more. But if Pepsi wants to, they're looking to get 100 from the original order. If they stick to that, right? They're going to need more than 4 chargers. 4 mega chargers. So they'll have to upgrade they'll have to upgrade their infrastructure. And I'll just ask myself, I'd have random tin hat thoughts like, why did Pepsi originally, knowing they're ordering 100, only install 4 chargers? That doesn't make sense.
Idea too. I have my idea. I think they're doing it for R&D. That's what I think they're doing. I don't think they're doing it with 100% certainty that it's going to work out and they're going to integrate their over-the-road fleet and it's going to be a viable solution. I honestly think they're doing it to play the first inning of the game. Tesla,
Yeah.
biggest name in the game. Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, dispute me, right? As
Yep.
painful
Yep.
as that is for me to say, right? Why not just go with an established OEM, bring these trucks in line? It's a PR event at best,
Mhm.
right? I mean, good grief. You get to, in any capacity, fly the flag of green. That's positive for your company. Okay.
Exactly.
And for a
Exactly.
company like Pepsi, the image is of the utmost importance,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah. I did. Oh, sorry. I did a video a while back about the how these companies buy these little credits to say that they gave money to this company that plants trees
Yeah.
down in the Amazon.
Yeah.
They pay farmers not to cut down the money they spend on these little PR stunts to get their ESG credits, ESG scores up, or
Yeah.
ESG scores up.
Yeah. So,
They can.
so is that what this is? Is it, okay, I'm gonna give Tesla the benefit of the doubt and say Pepsi's really making a bold move here, putting millions of dollars into Tesla. If somehow Pepsi likes what they see out of Tesla, Tesla comes out of this a winner. They've got an established big player in the industry, right? Integrate on those routes that it makes sense. I mean, Dooner said that on his interview with Thomas Healy. He said, I really wish Tesla would just go after that market that makes more sense. And Dooner, he's a trucker. He
Yeah.
understands the industry, right?
Mhm.
So his suggestion to actually just say, focus on this and say, here's what we're going after because we acknowledge here's our range and what we're looking at. But I don't sense that. I have a lot of questions when it comes to my evaluation. Even when I read an article about my company, Hyliion, it reads a lot different than if you read an article from 𝑪𝑎𝑛𝓋𝑎 or Tesla. They just
Yeah.
read differently. I'm like waiting for and then it ends. And I'm like, you didn't tell me anything. I'm not smarter. What happened? Come on.
Right.
I'm not trying to be cynical here,
Oh, you being
but just,
truthful.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just, from my lens, that's what it is. Just gotta want to highlight this, man. You want to take this comment from 𝑧𝑢𝑥? This is pretty cool, actually. In the UK, owning an EV car is painful financially and from a practical point. I'll stop there. Here in the United States, we don't care about that. We care about image. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
right? Buying a Tesla is a lifestyle. It's a discretionary item. Okay, people need to understand that it is a status symbol. It's a step in the right direction where people actually who own a Tesla feel like they are making a better stance and posturing for the environment. Okay, and I commend those efforts. I really do. But I think sometimes, look, if I bought a Tesla and I had the impression that I could do certain things with it at 380 miles of a range, and I'm only getting 200, and the people I talk to, it's irritating as hell.
Mm-hmm.
I filled my truck up tonight, and it was the 1.5 minutes of my life that I can't get back. Where I get in there, boom, I'm all the way, fill up, quick up. I'm on a quarter
Yeah.
tank. I gotta go, and I'm
Yep.
out. You know what I'm saying? I got my daughter
Oh,
in the truck, and I'm like, I'm out. It's not enjoyable. Me
yeah.
sitting at a charger for 30 minutes, it ain't happening. That's just
Oh,
me.
yeah.
It ain't
And
happening.
I'm often on the YouTube world and comments. I'm always like listening and reading about trucking. I love truck. I'm not a trucker either. I'm a nurse. I'm not a trucker at all. But I love the sector. I'm a student of it. And one thing I came across today is because Tesla's a buzz right now, right? Tesla's on fire, so everybody's talking about it. Is these guys saying that well, truckers have to break for a half an hour anyway, so they can just charge their semi while they're on their right. I look, you already know, right? You can just charge their semi while they're on the yeah, while they're on a half an hour break. I'm like, that sounds good.
Dooner was like, they don't even let these guys go in and loiter. They don't even let them go in and use a restroom.
The bathroom, right?
Let alone
Yeah,
just sit there and
yeah,
think about all kinds of stuff. Come on, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
I've also heard something about them saying they can put chargers at the customer's place when they're in the docks. While they're docked they can charge. I'm like, one thing I remember that stuck with me. 18-wheel trucking said that truckers tear up stuff. What I mean, backing in, trying to park the semi. Who's going to pay for that infrastructure? Who's going to put chargers in these at these docks? If I'm a customer, I'm not putting a charger there for you to charge your truck. If I am, I'm going to charge you a hell of a lot more than what Tesla says they're going to charge for the megawatt hours or the kilowatt hours. So we'll get my money back off that infrastructure. So there's a lot of balls being dropped, or purposeful ignorance. I don't know what it is, but
yeah, well stated. I think I would consider it to be churn, where we're trying to advance the conversation and advance it real time with these technologies that are new, but we're also incurring step backs and setbacks and reality checks, and I think that's all right. I do. I have fun. I pick fun. You know, Tesla's not my thing. I have conversations at work all the time, and people are like, "Yeah, Ryan, you go, man," because people are like, you know, they agree with me, man. I think a lot of it is hype, man. I'm not going snowboarding with a Tesla. I'm going with my Toyota Tacoma, man. 4-wheel drive. If you'd like to follow me in your Tesla, you're welcome to do that. But good luck. It just ain't it's just not practical for me. And I don't mean I kind of mean to pick fun a little bit, but I think some of it is hype. I think some people don't truly understand what the lifestyle is going to mean by stepping into that. Some must really enjoy it, because here in New York, where I'm at, they all over the place. They're all over the place, man. Yeah, I'll pull up next to them and try to race them, you know, and they're trying to conserve their battery. You know what I'm saying? Everybody will tell you they're super fast, you know, but then they got to go home and they got to charge.
Yeah,
you know,
they get step on it, they're on the way home. Yeah.
God, man. But
yeah,
anyway,
I agree. I
cool,
agree.
cool, brother. Well, I'm about to wrap it down here in about a couple minutes anyway. But man, open door policy for you. All right. Do you ever want to catch one of my I always thought my Friday live stream was like my flagship go-to product, but here I throw down on a Sunday, and I got people must be bored tonight. I got the whole family kick on tonight. Maybe I caught their attention with the tombstone or something.
I was dying laughing.
Having a little fun, man. Just like you, man, with your interview. I think that's pretty cool. You know, pick a little fun at the situation right now. And I think the root of what you were trying to draw down on that is what I've kind of talked about in who is the most eligible to sit across from industry and make that pitch.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going for. Because not to hold it up, but like
no,
that's often whenever I'm having open, respectful dialogues with Tesla, with Nikola, bulls, they don't see it from that point. They don't see it from that. They're seeing it as the fleet owner has to adopt this. They have to adopt this thesis. They have to adopt this their product. And they don't. They don't have to do anything.
No, sir. No, sir. They don't.
You know, and I think that's what they don't. That's the missing component is you have to sell your product. I don't have to adopt it right away. I have to 2030, 45, right? So
yeah. I think they're caught up on hydrogen itself, and fail to draw up a pro and con on hydrogen itself. I really don't. That's the only thing I've heard Elon Musk talk about as far as hydrogen being a terrible energy source, and it is.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. It's hard to transport. It's hard to maintain stable. It's just not what is viable when it is what we know how good fossil fuel and methane is as a fuel source. It's going to be interesting to see this churn kind of play out. And I think eventually we're going to find our winners will emerge, and I'll continually monitor it. And as long as we're in the churn, I'm happy. Stock price can do whatever it is going to do, but Hyliion deserves to be in that conversation. It really does. It deserves a front seat at that table, because from maybe my, I'm bullish, right? So you're going to get a bullish thesis on it. I think bottom line, they are the most eligible to sit across from industry and make that pitch, my friend. That's what I'm saying.
Yep, I agree. And that's what I was trying to show in that mock interview. I was trying to show that in that pitch, that pitch, between hydrogen and full BEV, Hyliion was the only solution where you didn't have to develop two infrastructures. You have to develop your clean infrastructure, and then you have to develop your charging infrastructure. You got to develop your clean infrastructure, and then your hydrogen infrastructure.
Yeah.
Hyliion
Yeah.
is the only solution where you don't have to develop two infrastructure simultaneously.
Well said. No.
Yeah.
Well said, my brother. Well, thanks a ton for coming on,
Yep.
man. It
Oh,
was
thanks for having me. I
incredible.
appreciate
Now
it.
we got a face. Now I got a face with the name, and now you go down, man. This was like
All
your
right.
debut on the I2, but
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks
it's
for
an open door policy, man. Don't be a stranger. Stop
Oh, wow.
by anytime, man, and I'll continue to follow you. If you don't know, man, Excalibur 1787, kick over, please, for anybody that appreciates his time, man. He doesn't have to do this. We both, the banter between both of us, man. There was some really good stuff that came out of it, and I hope it was it was taken well for the benefit of the group out there that we're looking to fortify and empower on this journey. But Excalibur, be well, man. Happy holidays to you,
Thanks,
my
brother.
brother,
Same
and
to you.
we'll
Appreciate it.
talk soon. Take it easy,
Yes,
brother.
sir. See ya.
Yeah, later. What a cool treat tonight, man. Thank you very much to Excalibur. Very cool. Kind of an unexpected, and that was the way I like to roll, man. Dynamic. I didn't know he was coming on. I didn't even send him an email or whatever. I like when people do that. I like when people feel like they have a place, because he sure as heck does. And I just appreciate his message on what he's been pushing out. I've been mentioning him a little bit on my weekly Hyliion videos, and anything I can do to help the guy. And in closing, the very least you could do is kick over there and help build that message as well, because he's pushing out some really good information. Fantastic live stream tonight, guys. Went a little bit over time on my typical Hyliion videos. I know lots of people call me the long-winded chap. But I did want to come on and seek out some solace from this week, because the great takeover is real. And we need to come to terms with the fact that even though you might have a superior product, that doesn't always mean that you're going to win out in the end. So from here going out, in Tesla, we trust. In Elon Musk, we trust. And where the idea was Hyliion Holdings, rest in peace, my friends, and all condolences go out to Hyliion after this news broke this week of Tesla and the 500 miles of boasted range on that particular truck. So, guys, thanks a lot. I really appreciate the devote subscribership, man. If you like my channel, subscribe to the channel. Certainly leave your comments in the video if you enjoyed the comment. And again, a double shot thank you to Excalibur 1787 for spending some Sunday night time with me on the I2. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into the message, and good luck in your investment future.